Here's the English translation of that strong suspenseful tie hook. Dash dash dash. Have you ever wondered that a secret hidden in the shadows could change someone's life forever? This is not just a story, it's a lesson you will never forget. Dash dash dash. Do you want me to also create 3 different variations in English: mystery style, emotional style, and shocking style, so you can pick the best one for your video? The wind blew through the old window. The faded curtain swayed gently. The scent of dust mixed with aged wood lingered in the room. A young man walked in. His wet shoes from the rain made squishing sounds with every step. The dim light stretched his shadow long across the floor. On the old wooden table, a warm cup of tea rested. Thin steam drifted upward to the ceiling. He sat down carefully, his eyes scanning the room. Everything was so silent he could hear his own heartbeat. The back door rattled, as if someone was holding it. He turned immediately, his eyes widening. Soft footsteps approached, slow but steady. The wooden floor creaked with each step. The door opened. A figure dressed in white entered. Calm eyes stared back at him. Yet the atmosphere grew heavy and tense. The young man felt his breath falter. A strange floral fragrance spread into the air. The scent was so sharp it raised goosebumps on his skin. The visitor sat across from him, lifted the cup of tea, and spoke the first words in a gentle voice, but filled with a pressure that could not be explained. The young man's eyes trembled. He tried to swallow. His body froze, because he was unsure who this visitor truly was, and why they seemed to know so much about him. Here's the continuation in English without ending the story yet. Dash dash dash. Guest for peace continued. The young man's breath grew shallow. The silence between them pressed down like a weight. The visitor's calm face revealed no emotion, but the intensity of the gaze pierced through him like a blade. The cup of tea, untouched for so long, now trembled slightly in the visitor's hands. The steam rose in fragile waves, as if the air itself was holding its breath. You have been waiting, the visitor finally said, each word slow, deliberate, like drops of water falling into a still pond. The young man felt his lips move, but no sound came out. His throat was dry, his palms damp with sweat. I do not know you, he whispered at last. Though even he could hear the uncertainty in his own voice. The visitor tilted their head, a faint smile forming, but it was not the kind of smile that brought comfort. It was the kind that unsettled, that hid truths behind silence. You know me, the visitor replied softly. Perhaps not by face, but by memory. The words struck him like a sudden gust of cold wind. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Images flickered in his mind. Fragments of dreams, faces he thought forgotten, voices long buried in the depths of his past. The floral fragrance grew stronger, thick, almost suffocating. It clung to his skin, crept into his lungs. It was sweet, but unnatural, like flowers placed on a grave. He pushed the chair back slightly, the wooden legs scraping harshly against the floor. The sound echoed through the room, breaking the suffocating stillness. The visitor leaned forward. You cannot escape what is already here. The voice was gentle, but the words carved themselves deep into him. Outside, thunder rumbled. Rain pelted the window, its rhythm sharp and urgent. Lightning illuminated the room for a brief second, casting the visitor's shadow across the wall. A shadow far larger than their body. The young man's skin prickled. He wanted to stand, to run, but his body refused to obey. It was as if invisible strings tied him to the chair. What do you want? He asked, his voice shaking. Why are you here? The visitor placed the teacup back onto the table. The sound of porcelain meeting wood was delicate, yet final, like the closing of a door. I came, the visitor said slowly, for peace. The word echoed in his mind, but instead of comfort, it brought dread. Peace, a word that should have been warm, a word that should have brought safety. But in this moment, it felt like the promise of an ending. The visitor's gaze never wavered. Their calm eyes seemed endless, like looking into a well with no bottom. The young man tried to steady his breath, but the room itself seemed to lean closer, as if the walls were listening, as if the air was alive. The visitor extended a hand across the table. Long fingers, pale in the dim light, reached toward him, not threatening, not aggressive, but certain. Take it, the visitor said. Only then will you understand. His hand hovered uncertainly. The scent of the flowers grew unbearable, as if thousands of unseen blossoms were blooming around him all at once. His heart pounded against his chest. Every instinct screamed at him to pull away. Yet, something deeper, a whisper buried in his bones, urged him to accept. His fingertips brushed the visitor's hand. A cold shock surged through him, not like touching ice, but like plunging into water too deep to escape. The room seemed to vanish. The sound of rain faded. The thunder gone. All that remained was silence. And in that silence, a single memory surfaced. A field, burning, the cries of children, the weight of choices he had tried so hard to forget. He gasped and pulled his hand back. But the visitor only smiled. That same unsettling smile, as if every hidden truth had just been revealed. You see, the visitor murmured, you already knew. Peace cannot arrive without remembrance. The young man's breath came ragged. The room felt smaller now. The air thinner. His chest ached with the pressure of truths unspoken. He tried to speak, but his voice failed. Only silence escaped him. The visitor's eyes softened for the first time. Not with pity, but with something far heavier. Understanding. Your past is calling, the visitor said. And I am only its messenger. The words lingered in the air. As sharp and fragile as glass. Sparkles. This continuation is around 5,000 plus characters approximately. 820 to 850 words, building suspense with shock, sensory detail, and psychological tension. Without ending the story, the young man's breath grew shallow. The silence between them pressed down like a weight. The visitor's calm face revealed no emotion, but the intensity of the gaze pierced through him like a blade. The cup of tea, untouched for so long, now trembled slightly in the visitor's hands. The steam rose in fragile waves, as if the air itself was holding its breath. You have been waiting, the visitor finally said. Each word slow, deliberate, like drops of water falling into a still pond. The young man felt his lips move, but no sound came out. His throat was dry, his palms damp with